Welcome to MAC Bleu, the cutting-edge podcast for the nation's builders, merging the realms of construction with exciting advancements in technology. Join us on a thrilling journey where we delve into the dynamic world of blockchain, AI, the Metaverse, virtual and augmented reality, and their transformative impact on the industry. Our engaging discussions span a wide spectrum, covering not only construction, economic development, supply chain, and market segments, but also exploring the vibrant tapestry of diversity within the construction landscape. We shed light on the intersection of local politics and its profound influence on the construction sector, while championing the remarkable contributions of women and minorities in construction. For all things MAC Bleu, head to www.macandblue.com, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. I'm your host, JJ Levinsky. Now let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of MAC Bleu. I'm your host, JJ Levinsky, president and co-founder of Blue Wave. Today I've got some repeat offenders and what I consider friends and colleagues. Todd Nessler and Chuck Paxson with Sun Valley Construction, or they're our concrete and masonry partners. Today we're doing something a little different. It is a podcast, but what was it, Todd? About a month ago, 2 months ago, we had today's all about the Arizona Concrete Association, which is in its infancy.
Correct.
But
yeah.
What we're aiming to do today is draw more exposure to it because it is near and dear to all of our hearts and part of the brotherhood and sisterhood of contractors, trade partners, vendors, suppliers, all that kind of stuff here in the Valley. And I think we'll get into all the details, but just to kind of set a tone and a context for this is the Arizona Masonry Council has been around what? How many years?
Oh, since the 50s.
Okay, so before
in different names,
right.
And different generations, but yeah, it's.
So with that, Sun Valley's in a unique position, like many people in town, where they have both masonry and concrete. And I believe you guys, I'll let you tell the story. But again, a month or two ago, there was a nice big forum meeting talking about getting the Arizona Concrete Association started, reignited, so that it could provide all the same benefits and outcomes that I think that the Masonry Council has done in other trade organizations in the community. So with that, I'm going to kind of try to lead the witness with Chuck and Todd here, but just to try to draw exposure to everyone out there that's in our industry to help facilitate this thing and get it, maybe pump a little juice into it, so to speak. So how's that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. So either one of you chime in, whether it's you, Chuck, or you, Todd. Kind of go back. How did this whole incubator start? Was it like a year ago, 9 months ago? Like, where did all this?
No, go ahead. This actually started, golly, Chuck, probably 10 years ago that we started talking about it. One of the things I really appreciate about Chuck is he's very much a visionary. And, as Chuck and I got deeper into our discussions about the industry, I came to realize how important it was, not only to myself, but to Chuck in education and training, not only future craftspeople, but also for the industry as a whole. So Chuck and I have talked about this for probably literally close to a decade. And we knew that there was a roadmap for this to be successful, that was going to take some time to do. And we always had that in the back of our mind. And feel free to jump in here, Chuck. But, we knew that the pillars for this industry needed to be based upon training,
okay,
for future craftspeople, technical support, because concrete is a very dynamic product that is
more than people give it credit for.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And there's so many factors that can change it from one day to the next, from 1 hour to the next, and as well as education, for the industry as a whole. So so Chuck and I had put some thought together about 5 years ago on developing an apprenticeship program, and we didn't want one that was just based on Sun Valley's curriculum or Chuck's curriculum, or my curriculum. We wanted something that was governed by the Department of Labor, through the state. And then we wanted to take it one step further and get it certified through NCCER so that...
So educate the audience. What does that mean, Todd?
So within the Department of Labor in the state of Arizona, you can have an approved apprenticeship program. Okay. And there's a very specific curriculum that they have to follow, mandated by 288 hours of classwork and testing time, and another 4,000 hours of on-the-job learning. Now, in order for that to be recognized on a national level, there's a further set of criteria that curriculum has to meet. So when we started first putting together this program for the apprenticeship, we wanted to make sure that it not only satisfied the requirements of the Department of Labor, but also NCCR, so on a national level. So
Got it.
So this is the real deal.
Yeah, you don't want to fake it.
Yes, exactly.
So legitimize it.
So, and we knew that that was probably going to be one of the more appealing components of an association, being able to provide, training for future craftspeople. And I want to come back to that topic in just a moment.
Okay.
But, we knew that there was going to be periods of time where we had some failures and successes. So as Chuck and I talked, we wanted to rub out all those failures as much as possible. And
Spoken like some guys that have been in the trenches.
there are a few times, yeah.
Show me your battle scars.
Yes. Well, we knew that, when we brought this to the industry, that we really only had one shot.
Right.
So if we're going to roll this out to the entire industry and say, hey, look, trust us, we got this, we better have it right.
Yeah.
And so we finally reached that point. We've graduated 5 classes. We now have two right now that are, at various cycles in the program, but it's running very well. We have a very good coordinator, incredible chief instructor that Chuck handpicked, and he's got probably 20 years of experience.
Yeah, everything does easy.
So let me interrupt you there, though. So again, if I'm a listener going, are you talking now about the association or just Sun Valley?
Well, right now that is sponsored by Sun Valley.
Right.
Sun Valley is fully funding it, managing it. And of course we could continue to do that, but
but that's not the ethos or the goal.
Yeah. The end result was, let's make this bigger.
Yeah.
It for me, it's really surprising that concrete is in almost every building component. All right. Now, almost every building structure. And
I don't see them putting in wood pilings anymore.
Yeah. And they,
Romans aren't here.
Right.
Although you and I might be old enough.
Yeah, I'm getting close. Yeah.
Just kidding, buddy.
But, whether it's carpentry or electricians, mechanical plumbing, mason, they all have different trade associations that not only support their industry, but train for the future. And concrete hasn't had that. And for whatever reason.
Are you, and again, I'm just trying to bring the audience into this conversation. Is it just in Arizona, or is it the whole Southwest, or is it even national?
No,
the lack of the concrete specific training applications.
Arizona has always been really good about training for construction trades.
Yes, sir.
A lot of states, neighboring states don't have those, whether whatever trade it is.
Right.
Could be mechanical, plumbing. Arizona has always had that. Concrete has some very large associations throughout the nation. But Arizona just doesn't have that one. It's really more focused on what we can do, which was Chuck's idea, is providing technical support to engineers and architects and realign the specifications, because there are some gaps, in the specifications that don't always carry through and create issues on the job site.
Yeah, well spoken. So right now, and this isn't a Sun Valley, pitch or anything, but you guys kind of took the onus of saying, we'll shoulder this, almost like a belt and suspenders, to then get it to the association level. So, the main reason we're here today is to kind of do a call to action and exposure that, all right, you guys prop this up. Now we want more support, more of our peers, right, to get involved. And it's not just other trade contractors. It's not even guys like me that are the GCs that we're in it together. It's everything from the ready mix to the other supply chain, the vendors, maybe even even special inspections. I mean, the back end, like you said, the engineering, things like that. I mean, you're looking at this in totality, right? As far as like that's really how you want to effectuate the end goals of the association. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some given point, hopefully these things that we've started, will carry forward. I mean, beyond just the training, we founded this with the 3 pillars, education, training, and technical support. And, I've got some extensive history in, the training, the apprenticeship, but like Chuck he's done a wonderful job of continuing education, training architects, and and there's so much product knowledge out there that
It changes all the time.
It does all the time, and depending on the weather, the climate, the time of year. So so at some given point in the future, we do have a board that we have in place. It's going to be 4 contractors, 4 material vendor suppliers, and 1 design professional, whether it's an engineer or an architect.
Okay. So where
there comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
let's break this conversation into a couple of different things. Before we go into how the organization currently looks and where we're at in the maturation cycle, let's call it that, Todd and Chuck. Let's go back to more like what you guys have done internally at Sun Valley, back to the training and the hours and the Department of Labor. Let's get a little more granular of what have you guys done just at that level. You touched on it, but I think you kind of went kind of quick and fast. What else specifically does that look like within Sun Valley right now?
So
if you even give an example of a class, you said, like, hey, in the last 2 years, here's what we did. We had 5 associates that went through this, and this, and now this is what it looks like. Because I just want the audience to be able to relate to it.
Certainly. Yeah. So the apprenticeship program is structured and governed by a set of curriculum standards that has guardrails on it.
Got it.
And beyond that, Chuck wanted to take this a lot further and provide training for journeymen that are already there.
Yep.
I'm going to turn this over to you in a minute, but have classes that are real on the job issues. And why don't you go ahead and...
So how does that look, Chuck?
Well, I think, first, if you back up, we have a large problem pulling labor into our market. I think it's looked at less professional. So hopefully this will bring some more excitement to it and more professionalism. But for us, the training is everything, taking a person that's unable to maybe understand the drawings as well, or maybe speaks a different language. But if we can show them a way to do it. So we spend a lot of time just promoting our best practices, and we hold classes internally to do that outside of just the NCCR and the apprenticeship program. We're trying to sharpen the arrow and get everybody on the same page and give everybody an opportunity. They might learn differently. So it could be hands-on, it could be through a book, or it could be through a picture. And so we're trying to bring everybody up to speed and give everybody that opportunity, let alone promote the idea that, as you learn this, not only can you make more money, but you can step up in the field. Unfortunately, in Arizona, we've learned by doing.
Right.
And that's, starting with the shovel in your hand or finishing concrete. And you're taught by whoever, you report to. A lot of those are not the best practices, and a lot of those are just hit and miss.
So to your
Right.
point, though, the definition of insanity is doing the same shit.
Yeah.
We're expecting different results.
We
And
say-
here we are.
We say that all the time. So the idea of training is really just more professionalism, giving the guys a chance, like I said, to really learn however they want to learn, and giving them the opportunity to do something successfully.
Okay.
And so that's what we're doing, is really sharpening the arrow with the guys, and hopefully, and we're starting to see it, but it's also producing that younger crowds getting excited about coming into it and stuff, because you're giving them opportunity to not just be a laborer. They can come to that class and they start learning things, maybe get good with a hammer, maybe they're really good with math, and we start promoting that side of it.
Mm.
So it's part of recognizing that. But I think in Arizona, just the lack of being a right to work state and having the lack of a union in this, where it's a little more structured, where training's coming from, that part is hopefully be fulfilled by this. That's a big part of it. And, that's not to take away from all the specifications, all the things that we go through. Our weather's so different here that, just the technical aspect of it is huge in what's being promoted.
Well stated. What, go back to those early classes. What did you, because everything change is inevitable, right?
Mhm.
So with that, what were the successes? And then what were some of maybe the micro failures that led you to, like, where did you pivot and iterate on some of these things over these last few years as you've gone through your first few classes, if you want to call it that?
Sure. I can speak to the apprenticeship program, but I know in your continuing education classes,
Well, I think I think to be real exact, the apprenticeship program is national. It's more broad, right?
Agreed.
And it'll teach from ladder safety to some excavation they're going to see all that. So we really get the hands-on more. But for us, we're trying to teach people how to operate here in town and how to do more specific things. So the apprenticeship program's been a great base. There's several foremen that have been turned outside of it, which is amazing. For us as a company, it takes forever to find an individual that can step up. So what we've done is we've broken the most simplest task down, even tying a string to follow.
Yeah.
That to how to set a form, build a wall, use a system, excavate using, how you use laser, how do you set up a theodolite, those kind of things, just very specific. And once you break it down, it's not so overwhelming, and you find guys that just start getting it. They start figuring out where to apply it at. Even places I haven't thought to apply it, these guys are applying it. So it starts to take a life of its own, and that's what we're starting to see. So you got a really good base with the NCCR stuff. We had to make it a little more specific to what we do. And I think in general, that's kind of how our association will run. It'll be very basic, and anybody that brings anybody in, you can speak more to this, Todd, they'll be responsible to them. But the real critical, I guess the how to do it would be later on, right? But if we get the people in, hopefully we could be at schools. Hopefully we can generate some excitement and have the workforce, that we've all become accustomed to. I always use the analogy when I was starting out driving a work truck, I got pulled over all the time by the police. I mean, because we were at night, whatever. It didn't matter because we did construction. It was almost looked down at.
Yeah.
Now I think we're hitting this place now where it's becoming a profession. It's the trades are actually looked as meaning something. And so it's due to have an association. It's due to have a little more recognition.
It was funny. I have a junior in high school. The other day I overheard him with some friends. They were actually talking about the trades. And it was kind of cool for me to hear because, I'm one of us, right?
yeah.
Now, granted, I've gone to college, but deep down inside, I chose construction because I love the tangible part of what we do, right?
Yeah.
But for that generation to sit there and go, that this isn't me talking to them. They hear this going, I can start at this without having debt and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God, I don't even need to pitch this anymore. Just like what you guys are trying to do with the association is it build the foundation, no pun intended, and then let it succeed, right?
Exactly.
So, no, thank you, Chuck, for going back because I think that's the way you summarize that is the apprentice program is the base. Everything else we're doing, the nuances within the association is to make it more Arizona centric, and that way we can, take the, what am I trying to say? The SOPs, if you will, of the national brand, and then tailor it more to the desert Southwest, or when we have to do specific here. I absolutely love what you guys are trying to do with that.
So I would say more specific to the needs rather than specifications is what we're kind of looking at when you look at the technical side. So we want to build towards that need, what fulfills that, but not make it harder on ourselves. So we're still seeing a lot of specifications that, and you know this, a lot of RFIs, a lot of trying to change an engineer's standpoint that's from out of town, that's dealing with cold weather, doesn't necessarily know what we deal with here. You have all the chemicals that are being put into lower water cement. Well, that causes a whole bunch of problems. It sounds neat. And do we really need it? Exactly. And so we really need to be doing performance-based rather than specifications. So one of the hopes is that as we go through this, we'll develop what's better here with our aggregates, with our materials, with our weather, what will give best possible product, and allows us to do that rather than being controlled from somebody that doesn't really understand it. Does that make sense?
No, it makes brilliant sense. Let me ask this, because you guys, again, are in a unique position. Now, you're not the only one in town. You've got some of your friendly competitors that do the same thing. You have concrete and masonry under one roof, just like, a lot of them have MEP under one roof like we do. How much have you gleaned, and man, because you guys are active members of the Arizona Masonry Council, how much have you looked at that model? And this allows you to kind of take the best practices of what they've done and then tweak it a little bit more too. So it kind of gives you guys are tenured participants in that organization of, hey, we can take this, but then we can improve it here, adjust it here. Back to your point on the performance side, is that a nice, what am I trying? Not a safety net, but is it a nice peer group to have that as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. The Arizona Masonry Council. I spent 30 years as a board member on that.
They didn't have anybody else, or what?
Once you're on, it's like that Hotel California.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time, my friend.
Yeah. No,
I didn't see if anyone was paying attention on the comedy side of this.
No, that's it's just a wonderful group of people that support the masonry industry, and they've got an incredible leadership program there through Don Rogers, and
former guest as well.
Yes, and she's a wealth of knowledge. And, especially the technical administrative portion of it, development of bylaws, making sure that you're maintaining a level of non-collusionary, membership, things of that nature. Just a tremendous amount of help and support in that. So, yeah, it's very, a lot of mirrored structure to the council.
But yet subtle differences too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the nice things about the masonry industry is it's a unified voice.
In what regard?
Well, it would be easy to look at the person across the table from you that's competing for the same work and feel as though that they're a competitor, but they can also be a peer. And really, the competition isn't for that work today. It's the other building components and wall assemblies that are always trying to take portions of that masonry industry away. That's what I'm hoping that we can get to with the concrete industry.
Right.
Concrete is constantly at battle, with steel and with wood structures. And as a unified voice, we can garner more market share and have a better product, a better deliverable, not only to the architects and engineers, but to the end user.
Right. But well, not to hit a sore subject, but since this will air, not in a big delay like before, is, with everything that's going on in California right now.
Oh, absolutely.
My ex-partner that used to host, this with me, Robert Johnson, he's in the cold form metal stud space, and don't think that he's not promoting, hey guys, if you would have built out of this and this, you're all those structures may have burned, but they had a much high or higher likelihood of surviving and blah, blah, blah. And we get in all the saved insurance costs and all the, that battle, as you guys know, will never stop, but like you said, would you rather have the battle down here in the trenches on competitor to competitor, or where you don't get any market share, or would you rather have, like you're saying, do the macro conversation, get that market share, and then fine, as a unified voice, if we have that much gain market share, there's enough for all of us, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Today, 2025, we've got some incredibly well-respected competitors, contractors in the industry, as well as suppliers. But even though they're all, glorified as they should be, we're still a fractured voice as an industry. And hopefully when we look 10 years down the road from here, hopefully this association is really governing that voice and is working alongside the design community and not only the design community, but also putting out, incredibly talented, craftsmen, as well as continuing education.
Well, I think the big thing that everybody's so used to doing their own thing that in the concrete world, we've all been competitive. And so nobody wants to let that guard down. And I think that's going to be, and Todd and I have kind of brushed on that a little bit in past talks, but letting that guard down and become part of the association, which means you need to relinquish a little control when you're bringing maybe a new talent through, or you want to be part of a new idea. And I think that's really probably the biggest thing we got to get past. But, that old saying goes, we're stronger together than, we are by ourselves. I think that's what everybody needs to realize. One thing that's unique to Sun Valley that I've enjoyed is the approach. We're much more people oriented than anything. And it's really not all about a dollar. And I think that's why Todd's was managed to do this. I did not see this vision to being so big. I was more like, vision, but, in that itself, if we all get together and really concentrate for the workforce and for the people, I think it becomes much easier to trust. Yeah. And together we can really conquer a lot of things. So.
I've been sitting in this chair. I've been blessed to have, and you guys know a ton of the people that have been on this show, leaders in just about every different vertical that we know, whether it's GCs, other trade contractors, and the people that have sat in those chairs, whether what's on air or off air, the ones that have given have actually taken more, if that makes sense. Mm. So in other words, their success is predicated on how much they gave back to what you're saying, the unifying cause. And I think of like whether I'm putting on my GC hat, I don't need to name drop here, but when I look at the people that you've worked for that have gone like this over the last 3 years, go show me their leadership structure, and they've given, like whether they're part of, whatever, we can name all the organizations, but it's the same kind of the attitude of they're willing to send their people, go into the training, elevate, raise the bar together. And then the ones that are standing there that haven't been involved, are they still successful? Yeah, but not at the rate that those that have contributed.
Sure.
Yeah. That old adage, I don't even know how to say it anymore, but if you're just a taker, well, then you're going to be at the end of the line.
Yeah.
Or if you're willing to give a little bit, you're going to get it tenfold back, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you guys are spot on. All right, let's get off the philosophy for a little bit. Let's get into brass tacks. Some of this might be utopian, but let's try to keep a pragmatic outlook on this. Let's start putting some timetables to everything. Like you kind of had the call to action before the end of the year. Where do we sit going into 2025 as far as how you think this will play out just from an organizational structure over the next year?
Yeah, so going back to that first rollout meeting, we knew that when we did, we needed to come ready with a 1 year, a 3 year, and a 5 year plan.
Okay.
And, year one is getting the foundational administrative portion of it up and going. Development of the bylaws, the development of the non-collusionary papers that need to be put in place, establishing a due structure.
What was it all about interest? I think everyone, like let's say I'm a concrete guy or gal out there right now, mid-market, that they've never heard of this, and they said they want to get involved. First thing, well, who else is involved already? Like how many other participants have you already gone? You don't have to give names, but just
Yeah.
give a sense of what the reception has been.
I think it's with any new initiative, you're going to find 3 groups of people.
Go ahead.
Okay. First group is one that really believe in that vision and they believe in you as a person and they're going to get behind you and they're going to help carry that boulder up.
The people we saw in that room that day. Yeah.
Yes. Then there's going to be the second group that's you sit back and wait and see.
Interested, but
Yeah. Let's see where this goes.
yeah.
And then there's always the third class, which is, no, we never had to do that. We're never going to do
Yeah.
that. And, my hope is this is a slow, steady game. And, it's, I said we've got a 1, a 3, a 5-year plan. 5 years, for some would seem like eternity, but really that's just in its infancy.
Yeah.
And in order to do this right, it has to be laid out, it has to be planned, and it has to be executed according to that plan. And, we've got some good people on the board that are willing to do so. Chuck and I are fully behind it, and as well as, our business partners too.
You're right.
So
Go back. So thank you, Todd. And in that though, let's go back and just, I don't know if we finalized the 1-year plan. So then the bylaws and let's call it the legalese and the formation of everything. Are there any true, is there potential to actually effectuate or get anything started in year 1 as far as to the potential partner?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would that look like?
So within year 1,
Yes, sir.
it's our intent to hold at least 2 classes
There you go.
that reach out to the design community, and not only the design community, but the general contracting community as well.
I think that well framed. Yeah.
Yeah, so that there is a lack of understanding in certain aspects of the products that we deliver and the time of year that we deliver them, and then also roll out an apprenticeship program that's not Sun Valley's but the industries, and that's the goal for year 1. In addition to all the administrative and we've already started, or Chuck has at least, continuing lunch and learn education programs for clients,
Feel good.
industry clients, and it's been really, really well received, and have that put out under the hat of the association.
There comes a time when dreams become a reality, when you see your vision materialize into a true work of art. And the only way to get there is to choose a general contractor who shares that same vision and knows how to bring it to life. At Blue Wave, we aren't so big that we've forgotten where we've come from, and we aren't so small that we can't care for your projects regardless of their size. When your vision deserves safety, perfection, timeliness, and expertise in order to become a reality, trust Blue Wave to get it done right the first time.
Okay, let's see. What am I forgetting to ask you here? Give a teaser into the what happens between year 1 and 3, and then we can kind of just let it go because what are those maturity steps, if you will, between 1 and 3?
Growth and membership.
Okay.
Support and membership, active training. I think once we get at least 1, if not 2, of these classes out for the industry to participate in as far as apprentices, we're going to see a lot more enthusiasm and excitement, even more so than we have now. Right. The design community, they absolutely love the information that we've got some really intelligent people in our industry. Jason Savage with Euclid is just an absolute wealth of knowledge. And, some of the information that he can provide and how concrete interacts seasonally just goes such a long way.
It's a living organism.
It really is, yeah.
People don't think of it that way, but trust me, you get in the science of it, right?
Yeah.
For us old cronies there. You know what? I just thought of a question for those, and again, I'm not trying to talk down to anyone in the audience that doesn't understand this, but I think it's important that you guys get a little bit more granular. If let's say I had Blue Wave Concrete and I wanted to put 3 people in the class, our associates would be working side by side with your associates, not in the field part, but in the classroom part. And then they go out and do their own thing and they come back, and they go out and they do their thing and come back. That is that a rising tide raises all ships, right?
Correct.
Right. So I want everyone to understand that is the MO and the ethos for this whole program,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you said, Chuck, taking away the formality of the National Apprentice Program and NCCR, it's like that is the foundation. But then beyond that, we build it together, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay. What about now? Is the board already filled out, or is that still TBD?
We have about 3/4 of the board filled out. We've been very strategic in it. We're probably going to hold a few seats open and transition. Maybe another, to go unnamed, another board
Go ahead.
member seat that may be currently an executive director of the Peer Association, possibly.
Hint.
Yeah. Just at least to get through year one.
Yeah.
Make sure that, like I said, this is a slow, steady race, and our intent is to follow this through from beginning to end.
And there is no, to be clear, this is being done all within, grassroots industry type thing. There's no subsidies from the state or the federal government or anything like that. This is purely an association just based on good people like you and our friendly peers in the industry.
Yes.
There. So there's no handouts here, folks.
No. Nothing's for free.
Yeah. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you guys what, again, use the podcast as your platform. What calls to action or ask would you like of the audience as we broadcast this?
I'd say just keep an open mind and join part of it so we can get the movement going. That's really the issue, I think, again, is just the trust.
Mm-hmm.
As you could sense it with our first meeting, and just, we're a little unique because our partners are our friends. We utilize each other when we have issues. We're one of those companies that we compete,
right,
but they know they can call, or we never feel funny about calling them. That's really, I would say, if everybody keep that in mind, that'd probably be the best start to just getting together.
All right. As a witness in the room, there wasn't a name in there that I didn't recognize, that it was like, hold it, we all compete against each other, but it was cool. There was unity in that room that day. So I think that was well stated.
That'll create a strength.
Yeah.
Together.
I think the other question would be, if I'm sitting out there listening to this, I'd be like, all right, who's going to lead the information charge? In other words, as you guys keep disseminating information, is it going to come out like, is Sun Valley going to take the charge of the broadcasting of the lunch and the learns, or the this or the that? Because someone's got to take the lead on that. So can you answer that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, initially it's going to fall under Sun Valley's hat.
Okay.
Until the industry can take over.
Got it.
We're very fortunate in that within Sun Valley we have a marketing director that he's just a guru with dissemination of information through
David,
yes, and Vorfith.
Yeah.
Through social media platforms.
Yeah.
He's already developed a website for the association. He's got a Facebook account set up, things of that nature. So,
and we think it's going to be Arizona Concrete Association.
yeah, we've got to run through a few legal things to make sure that we're not stepping on any prior toes.
Right.
But that is what we're hoping to land on. One of the things that we actively did when we had that first rollout meeting is we gathered everyone's information, as far as names, company, phone numbers, email addresses, and things of that nature. So look forward to that. As this develops and evolves, look forward to that information. And I couldn't echo more what Chuck said. Get involved. There's the old adage that 10% of the people do 90% of the work in charitable foundations. And even though this isn't necessarily a charitable foundation, it's an association that represents the good of the industry, and we need help.
Mhm.
This is not something that we're doing for our own personal benefits or that of Sun Valley. Yeah, they're shouldering it at the moment, but really this is for the longevity and good of the industry as a whole.
Mhm.
And spread through, the assistance to the design community and the owners and the general contractors. So everybody has a much broader spectrum of knowledge when it comes to concrete.
I think if I can jump in and give some advocacy notes, and Chuck, I'm going to go to you more on the technical side. When I was at that meeting, I think some of the takeaways that I heard that intrigued me if I was sitting out there in the audience was the potential for, I got to frame this right. You said it well. Yes, we have the usual things like print reading and this and the technical application. But the cool things I heard were like the bilingual platforms, the advancement in technology. So again, when's the last time you saw blueprints out on a job? Well, we still do, but more and more it's, we're even beyond. We were having the conversation with our techs the other day is, why do we even have iPads anymore? I mean, your phone's got everything you need, other than some of the guys and gals like to look at it in a bigger digital space, right? But show me the best companies and everyone's digitized and getting over, this kind of stuff anymore. Those are some of the technical things that I heard that really were inspiring. What am I missing, Chuck, that you want to, again, share with the audience from that platform?
Well, I think technology, you have to embrace it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you were talking about. And I think, or it passes you up. So that's always going to be a battle staying in front of that. But the things that we see that I think are unique is everybody feels like concrete, you pour it, it gets hard. It's, they don't look at the design of it, leaning it out to fit a need. But we're running into a lot of things like fly ash is now becoming eliminated, right? So natural pozzolans are being put in place, which can cause a considerable amount of technical problems. Just that in itself can save a company a whole lot of money and time if they recognize that exists, that concrete's just not concrete anymore. It's continuing to evolve. So a lot of what we talk about with our friends or who we work for, our general contractors, and what we go around, whether we're doing a job for them or not, is we're bringing up issues like carbonization or the change in fly ash or the change in cures, the things that will help alleviate some of that and also need to be done per what we call our Bible ACI in order to protect everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody's ready to shortcut something or get it to go quicker. And we're trying to bring back the best practices in that and make sure that our partners know what to expect if you don't follow those. And I think that's probably the basics of the technical side is it's changing. Not only the way we lay it, not only the chemicals that are going in, but the makeup of concrete itself, the aggregate. Our aggregate used to be much better than it is now. The more they dig, we have aggregate that's just not as strong, I guess you could use the word, rather than getting too technical with it. People don't understand that it's not a man-made product. It's coming from earth. And so wherever you dig, whatever you pull it from can change it.
Well, another one that I thought about that I think you guys did a great job at the meeting was look at 10 years ago in the Valley, concrete stereotype is foundation and slab, right? But now look at it doesn't take a rocket scientist to drive down any road now and see all the tilt that's going up and realize, wow, again, back to the layperson view of concrete's in the walls now and it's in the roofs and the ceilings and all. It's like, yeah, I'm watching a parking structure go up and, it's being done at half the time that it used to be because it's all cast and either on site or brought in, combination. I'm from the Midwest where we didn't do any tilt. It was all poured in a factory and then it came out on multiple trucks. But I remember how that goes dating me 25, 30 years ago. I remember how we used to have the dead men and do this and do that and work with the steel guys. And are we going to do the concrete first or the steel first?
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff, but the tie-ins. So I guess where I'm getting at is that where you were trying to say is the battle will always go between wood, steel, concrete, and those kind of things. But if you're elevating and making, back to your point, Chuck, embracing change of how you're accommodating what the capital market and the needs of the end user are getting to, if you can accommodate that, there's a huge future in concrete.
Well, would you rather live in a concrete building or a wood building?
Right now,
That's a,
like I said,
you just
no pun intended. Go strike the fire while it's hot. It was
no. I
cold,
think it's
but-
evolving. That's what you got to really say. It's going to continue to evolve without an association that moves with it,
Yeah.
from the technology to just the materials that we use. We're really taking a chance to fail on a daily basis if you don't. As a group goes, but I can just speak specifically for Sun Valley and our managers there. We're training all the time because it's constantly moving. It's evolving, whether it's a better way or whether it's a material change. If you're not staying up with it, then you're going to have a problem.
Well, I think the elephant in the room that we haven't specifically talked about, or we've hinted around with the apprenticeship and training, is human capital is the last arbitrage left on our planet, right?
Mhm.
So back to your point, is you guys as an organization, as a company, I say organization but because I don't want to difference with the association, is you guys recognize that you have to invest in the people or you won't have a return on investment. And I in the last few years, especially post-COVID, I think we've all realized that and I hate to overuse the word, but that is the only margin in arbitrage left. So those that are embracing how to invest and capture back your human capital element, they will be the winners at the end. If you just rely on tech or any of the other things, it's a combination, but human capital is still the common denominator to all that. Agreed?
100%.
So, again, back to the MO is all these other things to technical, whatever, but it still comes back to getting in the person to effectuate whatever that is.
Yeah.
Change, education, forward movement, blah, blah, blah. I could fill in a million other words. Chuck.
So I think for us, we look at an individual and we want to give them the tools to achieve that exceptional outcome.
Exactly.
So, you have the ones that aren't interested, the C players, that Todd talks about that can, but so we're really looking just to give them the mechanism that makes them successful and lets them go as far as they want to go.
Mhm.
And so once you have that movement in a company, and I think we're really getting there. People they don't feel pigeonholed in one area. It's because we're giving, if you learn how to schedule, learn how to use a different tool. I mean, technology's coming into it. If you want to learn how to finish, if you all those things are just about making that individual have real success, just achieve what they can. That's the excitement that really gets behind us is watching those guys step up. And then you're going, well, now we got to get a job for them. Now there's that potential, and we all talk about it. Unfortunately, the masonry side tries to steal our people. We don't get into that though, but that's
Hey,
it's all good.
the Hatfields and the Coys.
It's all with love.
All right, guys, do you have anything else before we do kind of a call to action?
No, just appreciate the opportunity and look back at us 5 years from now.
Yeah.
The association is going to be something.
Don't bet against him, everyone. I know this guy. He's a winner. So is
Yeah.
he. All right. So again, Todd Nessler, Chuck Paxson, David over at Sun Valley. I know they're all accessible. And if they don't have the answers, they'll still steer you in the right direction to get involved and to look forward on all the different social media platforms, because I'm sure David will be coming out with a bunch of good stuff for 2025.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen, for coming on. And look forward to, like you said, I'm just looking forward to where we are in 6 months. All right. Thanks, gents.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the MAC Bleu Show, brought to you by Blue Wave General Contracting. Be sure to subscribe to the MAC Bleu podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Follow JJ Levensky on LinkedIn and Instagram. Tune in every Monday